This level takes place inside a giant freezer, and you have only 3 minutes to make it through, or else you'll end up losing a life. So be quick and careful while making your way through. Most of the enemies will either jump over you, or you'll be able to easily jump over them to avoid them. And trust me, 3 minutes is more than enough time, as you should be able to complete it in almost less than a minute. Use the fan in order to propel yourself upwards so you can get to the top platform there, and then use the fan once again to propel yourself up these boxes. Reach the grate that's open on the right side to complete the stage. Next up comes a very popular level from Capcom, the Haunted Mansion stage. While there wasn't one in Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 1, there was one in a lot of the other Disney Capcom titles. In the next part of this stage, the lights will go out for a couple of seconds as you're making your way through the platforms. The good news is, however, even with the lights out, you can still see the platforms really easily in the darkness, so you really don't have to worry too much when the lights do go out, as you can see. Before we make it to the next part of the stage, Monterey Jack shows up to give us a little bit extra health if we didn't need it, and then we have another area to go through before the boss battle. Work your way up past the ghost and enter this door in order to get to the boss battle. This giant mummy ghost will move slowly from the right to the left and drop rocks along his path. He does have a few different patterns when he's moving from right to left, so you're not always sure which one he's going to do. When he drops the rocks, however, you'll be able to pick them up and launch into him when he reforms. The only other annoyance is a lot of times he'll get stuck in a loop of doing this projectile, as you can see, which launches directly at you, then he moves to the center and launches another one. They come directly wherever you're standing, so if you jump or move right beforehand, you can get them to go in a different direction so that they miss you altogether. While not too difficult, it's very annoying since you're just kind of sitting and waiting for him to start moving slowly again, so he'll drop those rocks so that you can pick them up and actually do damage to him. It may take a little bit of patience for him to drop enough of the rocks for you to finally defeat him, but once you do, you'll move on to the next level of the game. This is where we get the opportunity to pick which level we want to go to first. The Clock Tower, the Western World, or Future World. I'm going to start with the top choice Clock Tower and work my way down the list. Being of course a Clock Tower level, you can expect lots of moving gears and parts as you're making your way through. There are two types of enemies to really deal with in this level. The first is the electric mice that electrocute themselves and put little bits of electricity in your direction. The other is these moles that pop out of the ground for a few seconds, similar to the moles in Mario, throw a couple of screws in your direction. For the mice, you should be able to avoid them altogether in the level by jumping over their electricity and them when they're electrocuted. As for the moles, when they pop out of the ground, just be sure not to be standing over their spot, and then avoid the screws as they do come out. The boss of this stage is an ostrich on a gear, and he moves very quickly along the bottom of the screen. Whenever he stops, he'll throw out little mini gears that you'll be able to pick up and launch at him. The only real strategy when it comes to this boss is just trying to figure out where he's gonna go, because he won't always go the same pattern every time. So really, when you're on the ground, or on one of the two platforms, just be sure to be ready so when he comes in your direction that you're ready to either jump or get off that platform quickly so he doesn't run into you and cause you to lose any health. Thankfully though, he's really quick and is moving from platform to platform, so getting his projectiles out very fast so that you can pick him up and do damage to him. This will probably be one of the shorter boss battles for you in the game. Next up, I'm going to choose Western World, the second of the three worlds we get to pick from. This level brings the butterflies and hedgehogs back to deal with, so just the same strategy applies to them as it did earlier in the game. However, once you get inside, this is where the real gimmick of the level comes in. As you have a minecart, you're going to have to quickly move through the different amounts of tracks in the stage. Be sure that when you see a rock on the top that you slow down enough so the rock will fall and not land on top of you. It starts off rather easy, but you actually get another element entering in the second part. You have pendulums that swing back and forth. Usually, if you're quick about it, you'll be able to easily run right under them. However, when your minecart jumps tracks, you'll end up losing control of the vehicle, so quickly back up in the minecart so that you can avoid the pendulum or rock depending upon whatever it is, then go over and take control once again of the minecart. For the Western theme level, we end up doing battle with a magician cat, who throws two cards at you at a time, both in your general direction. The first one can possibly land on a platform so that it can be picked up and launched at him. The problem is, getting him to sometimes get the card onto the platform can be a little bit of a pain, and may take a little bit to get used to having them actually throw them onto platforms. While this boss is overall pretty easy to deal with, the only real problem is waiting for those cards to finally land on platforms so that we can actually do damage to him. Just take your time and find whatever the best spot it is for you when he's on different areas to get those cards to land on platforms so that you can pick them up. With the amount of hits that this boss takes, and the problem with the platforms, it may take you a little bit to actually defeat this boss.